Imagine this. You're 16 years old, your alarm clock goes off at 6:30 in the morning. All you want to do is reach over and hit that snooze button. But you know that if you don't get up and get out of bed and get in that bathroom, you're not going to be taking a shower that day. Because in 15 minutes, your older sister is going to be banging on that bathroom door telling you to get out because it's her turn to get in. So sluggishly, you get up, get out of bed, and get in the shower. Now, I don't know how many of you can relate, but that was my life growing up. See, I grew up in a house of 7. In our house, we had a 2-bathroom house. Ooh, let me rephrase. We had a 1.5 bathroom house. So yes, that is 1 shower for 7 people to share. That forced discipline at such an early age has not only shaped me into the woman I am today, but also showed me that I need to adapt to a lot of things in life. 9 years ago, I went on maternity leave with my first child. While I was on maternity leave, I got a call from a recruiter. Knowing that I had no desire of returning back to the long mandated hours at my former employer, I jumped at the opportunity. While I had been on maternity leave, I was nursing my son. And when I started at my new company, I wanted to continue to pump and provide for him. But starting at a new company, I had no idea what to expect. Would they have a designated room for me to pump in? Would I have an office with a door and a lock? Would I have to sit in a bathroom stall and pump on a toilet? I brought an extension cord that first day just in case. The answer to all those was no. No, they did not have a designated room. No, I did not have an office with a door and a lock. But no, they didn't make me sit in a toilet on a toilet and pump in a bathroom stall. My typical location was the office of an employee who traveled quite a bit. But there were no locks on his office door. So I just taped a piece of paper to the door that said, "Do not disturb." And I really prayed that that tape held and that people honored that piece of paper, because I was going to be real awkward. But then there were those days that that employee was no longer traveling. So my backup location was a supply closet. There was no desk. There were no chairs. And the lights were one of those motion detecting lights. The kind that when there's no movement, they shut off, and the only way to turn them back on is to act like you're flagging down a taxi. I didn't exactly have any free hands. So now here I am, sitting on the floor in a supply closet in the dark with just my cell phone as the only light. And still with just that piece of paper taped to the door, praying that nobody needed staples in the next 15 minutes. The funny thing about that should have bothered me. I should not have been okay that that was my only option. But I never once complained. It took me a while just to realize how much unnecessary adapting I was doing. 5 years later, still at the same company, I attended a women's conference. And following that conference, 2 of my coworkers and I, Erin and Danette, we sat down and said, "Man, we love going to these conferences and get so much momentum and excitement from these conferences. And then we return back to our busy lives, and we never apply any of the great stuff we just learned." So we decided to set up a follow-up meeting with all of the women attendees. That meeting was the first meeting of women in leadership, the first business resource group at my company. Women in Leadership is designed to not only develop our people, but also to address challenges facing women. One of those challenges is being a working parent. We actually thought that this topic was so important that we created a subcommittee to focus specifically on this topic. The first task we assigned our working parents subcommittee was to review our maternity and paternity leave. See, here's how it used to be. You have a baby, and you go on maternity or paternity leave, And then both you and your significant other are at home trying to figure out this new parent thing together. And then after 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long your company gives you, you are forced to go back to work and leave your brand new baby at a daycare with strangers. Or maybe you left your baby at an in-home daycare with 5 other coughing, snot-sniffing kids. And you go from non-stop cuddles with your brand new baby to 40 hours back in the office. Speaking from experience, even those of you who had colicky babies will agree that that was a really hard transition. What if? What if we leave the maternity length the same, but what if rather than 40 hours back that first week, what if we break it up into 2 20-hour weeks? Or what if I go on maternity leave first and my significant other goes back to work at first, and then when I have to go back to work, they take their leave. So now my 12 weeks of vacation just got extended, and I'm returning to work knowing that my baby's in a safe place. We partnered with our HR department and now have a modified policy that allows for a lot more flexibility. The second thing we tasked our Working Parents Subcommittee with was to create a new parents guide. This guide helps answer questions such as, when do I have to let my boss know we're expecting? Or maybe to help your boss answer questions like, am I allowed to contact my employee while they're on leave? The thing that I'm most excited about, though, we now have 2 mother's rooms at my company. They have doors with locks and lights and refrigerators. And you can reserve these rooms anytime you want, so you know you always have a secure place to go. The best thing about all this, all we had to do was ask. All we had to do was ask. There was no pushback, no challenges. We got the full support of our company. So often in life, we feel like we must adapt to things around us because that's the way they've always been, or because we're scared of pushback or rejection or being challenged. And so we just adapt. What's one thing in life you've been adapting to? Could you just ask? I have never once used one of those mother's rooms at my company. And I have 2 sweet babies, Mason and Lily. And so I have no intentions of ever needing to use one of those mother's rooms. But there will never be another mother sitting in the dark floor of a supply closet because I chose not to adapt.
Pam Gilbert, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you.